What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 198 of the Bench Time Podcast with Todd and Brett Wiley of Wiley's Scale Modeling. What's up?
Hey there.
So have you recovered from our sadness of Saturday?
Ha! Yeah. You just got to resign yourself that, guess what? No playoffs.
Yeah, we just suck this year.
Will not be one of them, right? So, although, when you think about that, we lost to number one, and we lost to what's Tennessee now?
Five or six, yeah.
So, really, if we run the table the rest of the year, which is not going to happen, we would still make the playoffs, losing to a 1 and a 6.
Nah.
But that's not happening. We know that. So
yeah, well,
they're prepared for the rest of the season, and
yeah, it's not. It's over. Well, it's not over, but
yeah. And we're talking about the Oklahoma Sooners, the mighty Sooners.
Yes.
Mighty sad Sooners.
Mighty sad, big sad.
Anyhow, yeah. I mean, nobody gives a shit about that.
So,
I said shit.
So I think I want
that goes back to something else, folks. So.
I think I want to talk about my AK Interactive enamel colors, my deposits.
Your AK Interactive,
slimy, grime, dark, and all those.
I love them things.
Yeah, well, I let them sit forever, so I used them again, and they settled. And I thought my vortex mixer would mix them up. Well, it don't do good with solids, and it just mixed the top part up. It didn't mix the solids up, so I had to get a popsicle stick out and mix them up. But I went through all of them.
You can put mineral spirits in it. I've done that with those.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because it's a solid. The liquid part was still there.
Yeah.
They didn't dry out.
Oh, okay.
It's just the deposit parts became like a thick sediment, and I had to bust it up with a popsicle stick.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to do that with a.
They're fine mixer. Now. They're all mixed.
Okay.
I didn't have to.
I love using them.
Yeah.
But if you run out or you don't have them or you have to wait to get them, sometimes when you go online, you have to wait for some of these things from AK or MIG Ammo because the stores that I go to and get them from ScaleHobbyist.com is a place I go. They have really good prices and they get it to me very quickly, or relatively quickly anyways.
Yeah.
Another one to check out is SprayGunner.com. They also have good prices on the good paints, and they run pretty good specials and prices on them. I've found that they do a good job as shipping as well. However, and I'm not trying to throw them. They don't throw me a bone or anything for me to say that. They don't know who the hell Todd Wiley is or Wiley Scale Modeling. It's just that it's a fact.
Right.
But sometimes when you go there, I mean, because of the fact that they are popular for getting those things, is they're out of certain things like that. And those two in particular, the slimy green, dark, and light, they are very popular.
Yeah.
And I noticed it's been out other times where we get on a waiting list for them. So in the meantime, if you don't have it and you want to create the same effect, almost identical effect, is to use oil paints in green. Use a green oil paint, and it works the same exact way. I know that sounds...
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, it works the same. It's diluted the same way with, mineral spirits. They call them white spirits. They're white spirits. Whatever that is.
What is that? So, it's just mineral spirits.
It's mineral spirits. That's all it is.
It's a way they can put a buzzword on it to charge more.
Exactly, and rebottle it as white spirits, and they all do that. But it is mineral spirits. I just go to Walmart and I buy the big can of mineral spirits. Lasts me for 2 years or more. So anyhow, the
yes.
No, I'm sorry. The green oil paints do an amazing job that way. You can even produce those if you do it right and thin it down right.
Yeah.
Produce it with an acrylic green of some type.
Yeah, you could makeshift anything, or you can whatever word. I don't even know if that word.
Through oils, and a lot of modelers swear by oils. I have a pile of oils I like to use, and it doesn't have to be the AK brand. I'm not trying to knock AK, but they make their own brand of oils. Let me see if I find one.
Yeah, they're oil painters. Here. I have a couple.
No.
The oil brushers.
Oil painters are made by. Oil brushers are made by Mig.
Yeah.
Ammo Mig by Ammo Miggy Ammo by Ammo Mig. I don't know how what the we went through this before, but there are oils that are made by AK as well.
It says here Ammo by Mig. There it is. Ammo by Mig Jimenez.
Well, they make one called Abteilung by AK Interactive, and that is Abteilung. It doesn't have AK's name on it. They're made in Spain, and they're modeling oil color. I call bullshit. It is oil paint, is what it is. Now, don't get me wrong, it works real well, but it doesn't work any different than if I go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby and buy some oil paints. Okay, and you can buy them. You can get cheap oil paints. You can buy. I wouldn't go too cheap on the oil paints, but you can get your pretty much. Well, they have that one brand that they have that is made by Master's Touch, and they're offered by at Hobby Lobby.
Yeah,
and their oil paints are excellent. They work out great for me. I have no issues with those. I wouldn't get you get those little starter sets of oil. They're okay. They have like every color under the moon, but they're okay. But you're only going to use the oils are fine, the paints are fine, but then you're going to have like purple and blue, different kinds of blues and oranges and shit you're never going to use.
Yeah.
Right. So that spring green. Oh, you might actually use that one, but you don't. You're going to use your earth tones mainly is what you're going to use. Dark and light greens, that type of thing. You could use those, but some of the other ones, you're not going to touch those.
Right.
So don't go buying unless you already have a set or you get them cheap when they're on sale. Using oil colors is almost every bit as good as using the enamels. I mean, it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the enamels dry. Okay, but if you're using the mineral spirits, if you put them down and if you put the oils on with the mineral spirits, and then after they settle and dry a little bit, and then go over them with a dash of the oils, mineral spirits on the dried oil painting, or where not dry, but where it's set, it's starting to set. Okay, if you just go over that with your finger, it's going to smear off. But if you add more mineral spirits to it after it sits a while, that'll dry it out completely, and you won't have to wait around for it like you do with regular oil paints applied once.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. You just have to work with them and learn how to use them.
I get it.
Never think that you have to go out and buy, even though we have some, all the little special effect paints that are out there from these companies.
No, that was something that was said on one of the modeling groups the other day. I saw a post where someone was talking about acrylics, and a lot of people are on there saying they just work with craft acrylics.
Yeah.
So
and I've been able to recreate any effect that I've seen with any kind of paint.
Right.
Yeah. You can recreate it and make it look exactly the same if you just toy around with it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about some inspiration I had this week. I went down to Harper's Ferry, West Virginia.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I took my kids down there on Columbus Day
Mm-hmm.
for the holiday. I wanted just something to do. Got them out of the house.
I love it.
We just went and explored. But I mean, obviously I enjoy the history of it too, but as I'm looking around, the architecture of that city is just, that little town is just amazing.
Oh, it's so cool.
So
everything's in levels.
And it doesn't even make sense when you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the little stairway that's carved out of stone all the way up to that church. Yeah. And the buildings that are like on the side of they shouldn't even be there.
Yeah.
Like when they constructed the foundations for those things are insane.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know.
Huge layers of heavy stone.
Oh yeah.
You know? And it's neat to see how the roads go in like it's kind of like switchbacks up a mountain on a trail.
Yeah, well, it has
it's kind of like that. It's really cool. If you're on the East Coast anywhere and within a couple hours of West Virginia and Harper's Ferry, do yourself a favor and see it. It is also at one time it was a big industrial railroad area.
Oh yeah, there's old railroad beds the whole way through it.
Mills all the way through there. There's a history of the mills that went on down there. The manufacturing industry that they had down there was huge.
Along the Shenandoah Riverside where it meets the Potomac. Mm-hmm. If you follow those little paths that go back along the Shenandoah River, there's a whole bunch of old, really cool stonework foundations that are left over from those mills right along the river there, and they're amazing to look at.
About 2 years ago, we went down there and stayed at a bed and breakfast right there. Oh, so beautiful, by the way. Stone House Inn it was, by the way. It was beautiful. And right along the main road there that goes right down through the town. Mm-hmm. And you walk everywhere, and you're right. I took the tour. We took a hike, and I had a brochure on hiking the historic buildings and stuff that are old mill ruins,
right,
from floods. They were destroyed by floods.
Yeah,
and they just never rebuilt them because of the rivers. The Potomac and the Shenandoah meet there. And so they had some massive, nasty floods through the year.
Yep.
But cool. It's cool.
Yeah, but I mean, what?
Go ahead. I won't take your thunder there. Go ahead.
It's okay. I'll get a chance to talk eventually. I'm just kidding.
Go ahead.
I just think that the sheer number of buildings in that tiny little area is what's really cool. It's not necessarily, I mean, the way it's laid out is cool on the hill and all that, but the way that they were able to cram the number of buildings they have on that hill.
Stairways in between every building. And some of them go, one way, and then you have to turn and go up another set of stairs a different direction, and that's pretty cool how they did all that.
Yeah.
And now it turned it into like little pubs and restaurants and places to stay.
So you can take your wife there, and she won't be bored out of her mind because you can go geek out about architecture or Civil War history and railroad history. But then there's a bunch of little shops and stuff too that will appease the wives.
Right, they can get a glass of wine or whatever they want to do,
Yeah, and here's the other thing: not just in town where people normally flock to, but we parked up on top of the hill in like the old neighborhood.
Yeah,
and even when you go up that hill into like back up in where people actually live now, there's still a boatload of old historic, just awesome houses up there.
Oh, there is. There's a giant hotel at the very top.
Yeah. They're redoing it right now.
Somebody bought that, and they were working on it when we were there too. It's monstrous.
Yeah.
It used to be the key place to go.
Well, now it's being it's not supposed to reopen for like another year and a half.
It's beautiful looking from the outside.
They have it all fenced off. You can't. It's all under construction right now.
But it's gonna be cool again when they open it.
Yeah.
So.
Either way, I was just blown away by the architecture of it, and I know we're not doing that type of town, right? But it is. You can take some inspiration from it for like your older buildings, and that style of building isn't abnormal for any early 1900s through mid 1900s town on the Northeast.
Right. So, and that's the cool thing about what we do, all of us. I mean, we gain our inspiration from these towns and these buildings, and whether it's model railroading or like I'm doing right now, I'll talk about that in a little bit too. That's actually a good topic. The history of the stuff I'm doing for the World War II 135th scale modeling for diorama. When you're building anything like that, where you're showing all that kind of detail, those little old towns and places, that's the cool thing about going there and checking them out and observing. I think we've had many guests that have talked about that. Look around you. Look at the
take pictures.
Places. Yeah, take pictures. I took a ton down there when we were down there. You know what I took a lot of pictures of when I was down there in Harper's Ferry?
What?
You know those ruins that we were talking about? You walk back through the woods up towards the Shenandoah Riverside.
Mm-hmm.
Back in there's a lot of concrete. And I was taking pictures of the old concrete foundations that remain, and how like you mentioned, the moss and deposits of dirt and green slimy shit gets on them, and how it runs down. I was taking pictures of how the concrete has aged, and how you get the streaking and you get that on any.
Yeah, I'm looking at some old pictures right now as we talk on Shorpy.
Yeah.
And they have like the 1860s pictures of Harper's Ferry.
Yeah.
And even in those black and white photos, you can see along the river there, along the Potomac, on the wall that they built up. Actually, it's pretty cool because you can see where the bridge was destroyed in '62. With the railroad bridge that goes across, that now is the Appalachian Trail crosses as well.
Right.
But it has pictures of the bridge after the Battle of Harper's Ferry in September of '62.
Right.
And it's cool to see the bridge war's not cool, but it's cool to see the bridge the way it was just destroyed. I mean, it's destroyed completely. But if you zoom in closer, you can see that river wall that they built up, and you can see the streaks along the wall.
Huh.
But yeah.
And you know what's cool about that? What you just said, the battle that took place near Harper's Ferry or in that area took place just outside of town, way up on the side of a little closer.
If you follow the Shenandoah River back about a mile, it was back there in those fields.
Yeah, and up the hill further, there's a battlefield up on top of the hill when you get outside when you get out near the highway.
Yes.
Okay, behind Harper's Ferry. In the town of Harper's Ferry, there was no battle. And you know why? Because neither side could they both occupied during the war. Both the North and the South had their chance to occupy the Harper's Ferry, and they did. But they couldn't maintain occupation, and they never fought over it. Because as soon as the enemy would get up on the hillsides, all they would have to do is bombard down in. So nobody ever stuck around for that.
And it's surrounded by bigger hills.
Right. So you're trapped, and you'll get killed down there. You'll get annihilated down there. So as soon as the other army would show up, they'd abandon and pull themselves out of the Harper's Ferry area, downtown proper.
Yeah.
Because they were, you're sitting ducks. So there was no real battle there. You know why the bridge was down in 1962?
They didn't want the...
Nobody could cross. They didn't want anybody to cross.
Right, they destroyed it so you couldn't get supplies across the river.
Right. So there you go. But yeah, it's a cool town, and it's just a neat. You get a chance to go check it out.
If, like my dad said, if you're within a couple hours of it and you can make a weekend trip of it, and you do enjoy history as well, like you can visit a couple battlefields and Harper's Ferry all within a 40-minute drive of that. Like with honestly a 40-minute circle around there, you can hit so much history from the eastern seaboard, like in that whole area.
And that's the raid of John Brown took place there.
He was a crazy dude.
And he got, he holed up with a couple of his men inside that old fire station, and right down along the river there. And it's still, they moved it. It's still there. It's there, but they recreated it and put it in a different. It's about maybe 30 or 40 yards away from where it originally was.
John Brown, but I mean, he had amazing history. It's an amazing story. But the more you read about him, the guy was a lunatic. He was crazy.
He was. So then right up the street, if you go a little further up the highway a little bit, that'd be southwest of there, not very far, like 20 minutes, and you're in Charlestown, West Virginia, and that's where he was imprisoned and hung. So that's the hanging of John Brown took place there after they captured him.
Right.
So that's there as well, and Charlestown itself has its own history. So there's stuff there. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. It's a crazy. There's a ton of history in that town. I think John Brown and his little John Brown's raid, that whole thing, overshadows a lot of other cool stories when you start to research that town.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you go to Gettysburg and everyone's like, "Oh, the Jenny Wade House, the Jenny Wade House." Well, yeah, but there's like 1,000 other awesome stories in that town.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Jenny Wade was kind of dumb too, but we don't need to talk about that.
Let's save that for another time. Don't get me on the Jenny Wade story. So, but it's those kind of historical towns. I mean, you could take so much away from it when you're recreating your structures and such for your diorama or your layout, because that was America. Those buildings are there. They're still there.
They'll last longer than homes they're building now.
Right, but if you go into smaller towns up and down the eastern seaboard, there's still each town has those old towns. They all have their
Newville, my hometown does. Mechanicsburg, Dillsburg, they all have those buildings.
Right. Even in anywhere, big cities, you still have your old buildings.
Yeah, when you go to Philly or Baltimore or Washington, they have all these old buildings still. Well, not all of them. I shouldn't say all of them.
Because now Charlestown, Savannah,
Atlanta,
they all have these old parts of their town, and I think every town can say that.
Yeah.
So derive something to that. If you're modeling your modern day town, don't forget to look at the history of the town too, and realize that it's okay to put a couple older looking structures in your mixed in with your newer looking structures. Okay, because
especially if you're doing a modern city.
Right, exactly.
Like I'm saying, modern like 60s or newer. Because I mean, Atlanta's a great example of that. When you go down into Atlanta, there's like the old town, old Fourth Ward in Atlanta. And when I was down in Atlanta for work a bunch of years ago, like it was cool. We drove through it, and there's all these, you got your big city Atlanta, but then right there is this old ward, the old Fourth Ward, and it's pretty much, I mean, there's some new buildings in there, but it's pretty much the same old city that it was way back when it was, being built.
Right. I've driven through Columbia, Maryland, and gotten ideas like that. I've driven through and hiked all over Annapolis and found built little seaside structures and shit like that. It gave me inspiration.
Yeah.
So it's cool. You go to when we were up in Salem, Boston, Salem area. You and I went up there. We were in Salem. They had. It was busy as hell that weekend, but they had some really cool looking structures there that were old, and they're still there today, and they're very popular. So don't forget to model your old with your new. Don't forget to take the history and mix it in with your present day.
Man, I'm just looking. I could look at these pictures all day. I'm on Sharpie.
That's a dangerous site to get on, man.
I'm just Googling old city photos.
Yeah.
Or not Googling, I'm Sharpieing them, I guess.
Yeah, it's knowing history and reading history helps us to develop and do our modeling. I know when I go to these, I go to my meetings, my local chapter for IPMS. And I'll go there, and we have a lot of military modeling guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they know the history of this. They don't just build a tank. Okay, they know the history of that tank.
Right.
Okay, these guys, they'll know the history of a whole lot of different tanks, right? A lot of them are ex-military guys, in fact, for that matter. But it's the guys that do the planes. They know the history of the planes or what they had on them and the parts and things. In fact, some of those guys are Air Force or Naval Air people. But they take pride, and the reason their models look so good is because now they're obviously skilled at their craft, but having a background or knowing by reading and studying your subject is going to greatly enhance your model overall.
Right.
The more you know about it, the more detail or more love you can put into your project. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's cool to do that. But anyways, all right. What have you been working on? We've been talking enough about this stuff.
Well, I'm working on figures right now. I'm painting a couple figures. I did a cheese cart with a whole mess. I did we talk about me lighting up the cheese? Yeah, the cheese store last time. Now I made a cart to sit out in front of the actual cheese store. It's a hand cart, a vendor's cart from Europe, and it has wood racks and trays on it, and then it has the cheese like I did on the inside of the building, and it has some of the same kind of cheeses and things on that. It's called Cheese Sellers in 1/35th scale. It's by Mini Art. The kit number is 38076. You can find that pretty much any modeling store online. They'll have those, and they handle Mini Art or World War II type stuff. Anyways, I'm painting that. I painted that all up. It turned out real nice. And then there's two figures. One is a cheese seller lady who's in a dress, and she's dressed in World War II European style, and she's cutting a block of cheese on a wooden cutting board of types on the cart itself. And then there's a lady that is buying cheese from her, who's counting change in her palm, and she has, I guess, her hands out laid out. Anyways, I'm painting these figures, 1/35th scale. And the girl I gave tonight, I did a video, by the way. It should be out soon, on using the UV, curable UV liquid resin and with a UV flashlight, and how it is a game changer for filling in gaps when you're putting these figures together. Now, these figures come in like each arm separate, each leg separate. The torso connects with the bottom part of her waist area. I mean, there are two sections of the torso. Okay, and then there's the head, and then on top of the head there's a hat, or the hat. Some heads come in two pieces, and some come just one piece. But yeah, they all are posable.
Yeah.
So when you go and put these together, in this particular mini art piece, it turned out nice, but I was not happy with how they didn't flush up with each other. Even after I shaped them with the sander with some sanding sticks and things like that to get a nice flush thing, he still left a gap to where they should have had that, and where the seams and stuff were, where you put the pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
So I filled them in with that UV stuff, and it's a game changer, Brett, because it's self-leveling. It's such a thin resin, and it's easy to work with because it doesn't dry in 2 seconds, So you fill them in, you pour some into the gaps, and it fills the gaps up, and then you hit it with a light right away, and it seals that gap. And then you put another coat on, and it kind of tops that gap off. Okay, and if you go over it a little bit, if it puts a rise on it, that's not quite normal, then you just hit it with that sanding stick and level it out and flatten it, and it flushes. You won't be able to see it. Yeah. And it's like I said, because it's self-leveling, you don't even have to do much of the sanding part. And I love it. It's good stuff. It's a game changer. I definitely recommend you checking that video out. It's a little long, but I did that, and then I primered these things, and I started painting this lady last night, the cheese seller lady. She has a green apron. And did you ever pick a color and you think, that's going to be good?
And then it looks like hot garbage?
Yeah, and I'm looking at it. I did it today before the show. And I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, man, that's not going to work. And for some reason, the paint I put on, I'm noticing this with certain paints. These MIG, I hate the Ammo by MIG paints. Some of them are great. I have good luck with. They run a little bit on the thinner side than what your model color or your AK do. Okay, they're a little more thinned out. I guess they're better for using airbrush. I mean, they're all good for airbrush if you thin them right. But these come a little bit on the thinner side. So, but when they dry, not all of them, but certain ones when they dry, they leave a shine on them, like a sheen. And I just don't like it. It looks, I don't know, it looks like she has a plastic apron.
Yeah.
It's a green apron. Okay. And I did the back of her dress that the apron doesn't cover. I painted that. That turned out awesome. And for that, I used just regular model color U.S. Field drab, I think it was. And that, it's like a brown. And I did that for the back of her dress, and then on her front, she has a green apron. It goes up around her neck and it goes about the length of her dress. And I did it, and it's got this. After it dried, it has this. You ever paint something and you get a shine to the paint?
Yeah.
Like it's a semi-gloss, and you're like, why? Now I have a product that takes that away. It's made by MIG Ammo. Maybe that's why they make this shit. I don't know, but. They make a matte Lucky varnish. It's called
Lucky
varnish. Okay, it's matte Lucky varnish, and they make another one called Ultra Matte Lucky varnish. Okay, so I put that on there. Maybe they make it Lucky. Maybe they call it Lucky because it saves your ass. Because if you put some of that on, I didn't do it yet, but it'll take that sheen off of it. But I'm thinking about changing the color altogether because I'm not really liking. I'm going to change it. I'm going to keep it green, but I think I'm going to go with a different tone of green because it's not looking like I expected it to. I hate that, But like I said, with anything else, it's never ruined.
Yeah.
But so I'm working that, and that's one of the things I'm working on is these figures. I love painting these 1/35 scale figures because they're bigger, And now you can't. There's no 80-20% thing. It's yeah.
You can't fudge the details on them.
There's no forgiveness, right?
Right.
But you put on. You could do it because you don't need that. But I put in other modelers I know. Use the visor or some kind of a
I'm not there yet.
Optivisor, and that really helps. And but yeah, so I'm working that, and then I did is called a advertising kiosk.
Okay. Oh, that's the thing that looks like a weird, like, what do you call it? It almost looks like something you'd see on a mosque, but like on the street. Yeah.
Right, and they have them all in Europe, in Great Britain, and Belgium, and France, and Germany.
Yeah, like a newsstand kind of thing.
And they have them on the street corners and such in the towns, and people put up. Nowadays, they put them up and they put like movie ads and entertainment type things on there.
Yeah.
But back then they put all kinds of advertisements, products and stuff like that. And then during the war, there's a whole history to this, and we were talking about history, which is really cool. So I did some research on these, and the research is the town I'm doing is Narbonne, France. If you don't want me to get into this, I won't.
No, go for it. We're already doing history tonight.
Cool. So the town is, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's Narbonne. If it's Narbonne or no, I'm not sure. Anyhow, the town itself sits along the southeastern side of the Mediterranean in France, on the Mediterranean side of France, and at the beginning of the war in 1942, up until 1942, they did not. Germany did not occupy that section of France under a treaty, okay? And as a result, and I'm not going to get into super details of it. We'll just say a treaty. I wrote it up. There's a whole write-up on it, and you can check it all out on Facebook if you want to get on there. I wrote a little story on our
Here's how you pronounce it.
Scale modeling page. Okay.
Narbonne.
Narbonne.
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
I'm glad I pronounced it correctly. Narbonne.
Here's the British pronunciation.
Narbonne.
Narbonne.
Anyhow, the town itself.
Narbonne.
I don't want to play it again. Stop. Sorry.
Anyhow, the town itself, like I said, it wasn't occupied at the beginning of the war. Okay, 1940 through 42, because they had a treaty. It was like a treaty. It was basically an understanding that it was a free zone. They called it the free zone, and the Germans didn't go into that section of France. They didn't do it because of this one gentleman that was they were friends with. Who was in France. I guess he was some kind of somebody with a lot of influence in I think his name was Vichy, Vichy or something like that.
Yeah.
And they had this agreement that would be the free zone because he was influential towards things that Germany needed. Okay, and gave them access for whatever. I guess he's sympathetic to the Germans. I don't know. Well, apparently Hitler didn't like that. And that may have been the first time we ever used the word Hitler in our show.
Yeah.
And, hey, you know what? It's history. You got to talk
history
about
lesson.
It. So he decided, well, you know what? I want all of France. And forget that, because that guy's not doing shit for us anymore, right?
Right.
So, so as a result, because they weren't getting what they wanted, it wasn't worth they wanted to get control of those southern ports along the Mediterranean. Mm-hmm. Okay, especially as the battle or the North African campaign, they were losing that, and they wanted to get some. On the other side of the Mediterranean, they thought they would get more support for their German troops that were in North Africa being pushed out.
Right.
Okay. So they decided they would go down there and it would strengthen their cause, which it didn't really. And but they took over a lot of that section down there. Now, they did occupy Narbonne. Okay, Narbonne. And they did occupy that Narbonne, but there was no fighting that took place there, right? So in 1944, in August of 1944, the Allied forces, who already had went into France with Normandy and everything else, they decided they were also going to do another operation, landing along the Mediterranean side as well. And so they came in and started to push the Germans out of those zones. Now, the Germans there was a small arms fire in Narbonne, and there was in that, but nothing got destroyed. It wasn't like you see the destroyed buildings and such. Right. So I'm modeling this town because it exchanged hands, and then the Allied forces came in after the Germans evacuated it or retreated out of there and back into northern France.
Mm-hmm.
And the Allied forces kind of took over the two different operations, and they came in and took that back and then pushed the Germans out, as we all know the history. Okay, but the town was unscathed. Okay, so the town itself at the beginning of the war was used for heavy resistance, French resistance, okay? Your French resistance forces, legionnaires and such. They would secretly work underground and fight, and they were resistance fighters. And
so they were just deeply embedded in the town.
Right. And it was a town famous for some of the leaders of the French resistance, okay, that originated from that town. So what I did with this kiosk is I started out. I did it chronologically. I did the regular advertising for products, French products from the 1930s, late 30s, and early 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I put some of their posters on the bottom layers. Okay, and then they kind of overlap. They overlap each other because they just start stacking up on top of one another and covering over poster with other posters. And then the Germans came into town. Well, no, I'm sorry, I forget about that. I have some resistance posters on here that were used by the French resistance, and I looked these up on Google Images and printed them off and shrunk them down, and I stuck them on in different places. And the Germans came in and occupied that town. They did occupy it. They didn't fight there, but they did occupy it. And they put up, I ripped a couple of the French resistance posters in half, like they had tried to peel them off, and I covered halfway over on some of them with German propaganda posters. So I printed some propaganda posters the Germans would have put up, and some notices, like paper notices, like proclamations of how they expect the French to behave in the town and the new rules that are being set forth because now it is occupied and under martial law by the Germans. So as a result, I put up some notices I found by the Germans, a couple of them, okay, and then they got pushed out. So then I started covering them up with the liberation posters that the Allied forces had, and the French, when they started firing up their printing presses again, they made liberation posters and they hung them all over these towns.
Mm-hmm.
So I started covering over them, plus some liberation notices, like documentation notices, proclamations, and I hung them up over top of them. So everything overlaps chronologically. And I had a lot of fun with it. And a lot of people won't either look at that and give two squirts of dog piss one way or another. Okay, but to me, I know the history of it, and I made it so it reflects that history.
Yeah.
To me, that was like fun. I eat that crap up. I love that. You know. So that's kind of why I did that in that way. I had a lot of fun with that. It turned out it looks pretty nice. I'm going to weather some of the posters up a little bit. A lot of them are real bright. And if it's going to be chronological like that, some of them are going to get aged because it's not like it's really well protected from the rain.
Right.
So I'll put some streaks on it and a little bit of dust. Add some dust. I have some acrylic dust, and if I put that stuff on, it's not going to make that ink run. Not acrylic. That would be enamels. So the enamels won't attack that as much as a water-based thing. So yeah, I had a lot of fun building that. That was my project this week. You know.
Yeah.
Those and the figures, and I had a lot of fun, and of course the cart. How about you?
Well,
I know you were busy too. You got that water structure.
Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time on a little tiny building. But
You're not wrong with that, by the way.
where is it here? Where did I put it? I moved it so we can record. Now I can't find it. Where the hell did I put it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'll just bring it over here while we're talking. I got the roof done, which is just nothing special, just a tar paper roof. But I did dry brush the top of it to add streaks down it. I did airbrush a sign on it, which I don't think I talked about last time. Did I? No.
No.
So I have one of those old stencils from the terminal kit from Foscale.
Mm-hmm.
And it said like fish. Where is it? Fish, meat, and poultry. So I just cut the fish part off of it, and I painter's taped it on the front of the building that faces the water. And I took some white in my airbrush. Actually, yeah, just plain white, and very lightly airbrushed it. So it looked like a really faded sign that was painted on the side of the building. It just says fish. So technically, I think it was Bedford's Lobsters as the building, the name of the kit originally, but I'm just going to make it a lobster and fish shack, and just a place where the the fishermen would have just unloaded their haul for the day, basically. So, has a little dock pier structure underneath it. I got that started. I did some barnacles. I'll talk about that next. But my next steps on this building are to get those little fennel seeds like you had, and make some crates, I have crates actually, but just put them all around the building and build the pier out, make another level below it where it's like a step down, and a flight of stairs down to it so it's lower to the water, and have a bunch of fish just piled up on the lower dock. So I'm going to do that, and we'll use the fennel seed, like you said, for fish, because you've done that in the past, and it works pretty good.
I painted them like a grayish color.
Yeah, I was looking at how you did it on the boat, so I'm just going to kind of replicate that. Okay. We'll see. I might try to get a little fancy with it. But I'm not gonna. I mean, it's fennel seeds, so you can only do so much. I'm not painting the eyes on the fish, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, usually when bring in a sea fish and they have that silverish look to them when you take them out of the water.
I was thinking about taking my I have a silver model colors paint or model air paint. I was thinking about airbrushing them silver and then coming back over with a light gray and dulling down the silver so they don't look like they're made out of metal. But that way there's a light shine on them.
That's an idea. I have a paint here if you want to stop on your way home from work and pick it up. It's called Oily Steel. It's by Monocolor, and that may work too. It'll give it that oily steel look.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna mess around with it. I'll put that in there. We'll see what's going on with that. But like I also, like I had said earlier, I put barnacles on the bottom of the pilings and the wood structure, with pretty simple technique. I know we've talked about before, but I'll talk about it again. for those that might not have caught that episode, whenever you... I'll just talk about the pilings in general. I scratched them up with a hacksaw so they had the wood grain, which I know we've talked about before. I put it in that video that I did when I weathered the barnacles and used the green grime and the white paint on it and made the barnacles pop. Before I did that, I showed them how I made the wood grain on my pilings for the pier. And I just used the hacksaw blade and just ran the dowel rod back and forth to make the wood grain. But you have to obviously go with the grain to make the grain. You can't do it. You can't do it sideways. You got to do it lengthwise. So I did that. The barnacles themselves, though, I just took some wood glue and some of the sand you got from your old boss, and I just sprinkled the sand over the wood glue, let it dry, and once it was dry, I went over it with my AK Interactive Slimy Grime Dark and some mineral spirits, because you can't just slop that stuff on, you got to thin it out. So the nice thing about thinning it out, though, was the bottom, I put it on pretty heavy on the bottom, and then I used the mineral spirits. I turned my structure is not glued down to the dock yet, so I turned it upside down, and I used the mineral spirits to actually draw it up towards the top of the pile of the pier that it sits on. That way the fading goes, the green fading gets less and less as it goes up, so it's like a gradient. More green on the bottom where it's in the water, and it gets less green as it goes up towards the top where the air hits it. But
cool.
Yeah, the other thing I think I might try to do is get some I like this pigment from Ammo by Mig Jimenez. I like the metal slag pigment because
I have some of that.
Yeah, but you could use it for metal stuff too, but it's great for just a generic gray dust to weather with.
Oh.
Same with the light dust. Where is it here? I have a couple here that are good for that.
It's called slag?
Metal
I don't know
slag.
If I do now. I'm kind of looking.
Metal slag.
I don't have that.
Well, either way, I use that. And I also use one, there's a good gray called from AK that is called asphalt road dirt.
I do have that.
So it's kind of like a gray brown. And then the other one that's good is a really, really light gray called light dust. It's almost white.
Right.
And that's an ammo product. But all three of those are great. Anyways, the two that I'm going to use are the asphalt dirt and the metal slag. And I think I'm going to try to create a tide mark on them, on the pilings.
Right.
So that way there's like, you can see where the tide gets higher and lower. There's usually, when you look at pilings, there's usually like a dark line where the water was and it dried down. But the pilings or the wood isn't wet. It's just a dark mark from where it constantly goes up and down. The tide goes up and down and it kind of sticks on the, that grime sticks on the piling.
Right.
So that's what I did there. Anyways, the barnacles, back on the barnacles, I hit them with the dark green grime. And once that dried, I got some the vanilla ice cream from Apple Barrel. And I dry brushed the barnacles on with that white color. That way the barnacles themselves popped. So because barnacles aren't always pure. They're not green. They're like a gray color, but dry brushing them really made them pop off the pilings. So
that's cool.
Yeah, and I put it on some of the other lumber that's just lower to the water.
I did see you doing that on the video.
But
it turned out nice.
Yeah, I think it looks awesome. I'm gonna wrap some little rope around a couple of the pier supports as well.
Right.
Just drape some rope that around there and maybe hang a tire or two on it. But like I said, I'm gonna make a lower level of it too, so that way when you step out of the kit doesn't really make much sense. And even though I don't want to say it, but the door for this kit is like right on. If you step out the door, you just fall off into the water. So I'm gonna make a little landing there with some steps that come down to the front for that lower dock level.
We have one like that on layout down there now that was made by BARNACLES has the same thing.
Yeah,
it has a door that's off the side. It's like, where the fuck is it going?
Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna both sides, the sliding door and the other one. I'm gonna make a little bit more character around them because otherwise they just fall off into the water. Now,
there's probably a reason it's modeled that way. It's some
the man door probably not. I'm gonna put some steps out the front of that, but the sliding door I'm gonna put a little wood beam coming out the side of the building with a
like a loft.
With a pulley attached to the end of it. That way, if you're lifting crates of fish or something out of it, you can just pull them up into the fish house.
Right.
Or the shack. But the other one does need some steps because you can't just walk out that man door and just take a cannonball into the bay.
That's what their idea was, that it would have a set of stairs you could put on the side.
Yeah, or you could have attached it to another dock. Like if I got it close to one of the other buildings, you could make a little plank that goes from building to building, or from pier to pier, and then connect it that way. There's a couple ways we can make it work. I was thinking about how to make it work.
It's on some of them.
It would be cool to put some planks between some of our other dock buildings because they're much closer now.
Yeah.
Where I have them laid out, they're much closer together, so we could build some connecting plankways between the different seaside buildings.
That'd be a good idea.
So. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been working on with that building. I'm still working on it. I'm gonna just load. It's a little building, but I'm gonna just load it up with like I said, crates and different extra docks and rope, and I'm gonna put some tires on it in the lower one, like bumpers. So it's gonna be done up quite more than what it comes with from the Kit of the Month kit. So yeah, but that's what I've been working on. I also put the little little dormer on the top of the roof, or whatever you call it. I think it's a dormer. Yeah. Is it a dormer?
Yeah, dormer.
Yeah, what's the other thing called? Dormer and, I always get them wrong.
Dormer's the thing that comes out from the top of the roof and has a window in it.
Yeah, that's a dormer. All right, I put a dormer on the top. But yeah. So that's what I've been working on. A couple people asked me if I'm going to do a video of how my airbrush works too, and I'm going to do one. I just wanted to mess around with it for a little bit before I did a video of me actually painting with it because although that would have been comical to have a video of me learning it, but I do want to show them how it works once I've gotten to use it a little bit. But I'm pretty happy with that little $15 airbrush.
Yeah, that's cool. A lot of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fun.
I used to make fun of airbrush. Way back in the day.
It's fun and it's easy to clean.
So.
It's easy to clean.
Yeah.
It takes me 5 minutes.
I have one somebody gave me a couple years ago. Sent it to us as a gift. And I have it here. It works pretty good. I've used it a couple times. And
yeah. Well, you have a couple.
I have airbrush pieces, different airbrushes I can switch in and out.
Yeah. I just have my one right now. But
yeah, well, that's fine.
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. I am going to work on the layout a little bit, I think, this weekend, and get some foam and build up that hill on the countryside, the rural side.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we also got to we also got to put some track down too.
I also got to get down there and help you out and do some stuff.
Well, yeah, it's here.
I want to go down there. It's been kind of tough to do the last month or so.
Yeah, we have a lot going on.
But yeah, that's cool. I'm getting that itch now to do an HO thing. I think I'm going to get one of my smaller kits down this week and start working on a building. And start getting another building done. But I was online and I saw on Facebook, one of the groups, somebody had built this really cool looking mill. And I can't remember what the name of the thing was, the mill itself, or I don't know what the guy's name was, the modeler, and I wouldn't announce his name anyway, so it was a very well done model. And I was like, wow, that's a real good eye-catching mill. I said, the shape and design of it looks very familiar. So I started reading through, they write up and they were talking about what they did. And it was made by Railscale Miniatures did it. Remember Railscale?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that guy, Steven, is that Steven? Yeah.
Yes.
He took over well, I guess what was that? RRS or RMS? So who made
Oh,
those?
yeah. They
Oh,
made the
RMS.
plastic buildings.
Yeah, RSS or something like that. They made the plastic buildings, and they were always looking really cool. You had even bought one, and but this guy used one of those, and I went and looked at the Rail Scale Miniatures website. It's a really nice website. He's starting to do, and I'm not, I don't, I haven't talked to Stephen Miley in a long time, but he's got he's got a lot of everything going on in there. Some of the companies that no longer in business, he now has some of their models that I guess he has taken over.
Yeah.
And some Carolina Craftsman kit stuff, some was it Rusty Stumps? He took some of their stuff, but he's also pumping out some 3D, like a lot of other people, 3D detail parts and things like that. So I was on there checking that website out, and I like that mill, and I'm half tempted to maybe order one of them.
Was it RDA?
RDA, that's it. Goddamn. Yeah.
I was silent for a minute because I was going through my head like, what was that? What was that? It's Railscale Models owns them now.
Yeah, right. So I may end up ordering it.
They're still pretty good price.
Point.
Easton Mills, Middleton Mills. I have Freeman Manufacturing Company and the Fisherman's Co-op.
Well, this one here, they had what I was thinking was ours. We finally have a layout where we'll have a back wall.
Yeah.
Okay, for a backdrop, and I'm thinking maybe put some taller.
Wood and Stone Building.
Yep.
American Ice Company. It's a super long background kit. Yep. Durham's Tool and Die. Johnson.
That's something to look into. There's other companies as well. That
that one looks sick. Here on Messenger.
But
get your phone.
Yeah, it's I have it here. But yeah, so I'm gonna check out some of those. I know they're plastic, but we've gotten to the point now where we have products. Back in the day, you took a plastic kit and they all looked the same. Okay, they all look like the who was that company? DPM.
Yeah.
Okay, everything was DPM. Or whatever, Magnus.
You can still you can do some cool stuff with the DPM kit.
You can, and that's fine. I'm not knocking DPM. They have a lot of really cool kits, and you can kit mash them into all kinds of shit. Okay, but now with all the mediums that are coming out, you can still look at some of them and say, you know what, that thing that's just a plastic kit. But now with the mediums that are out there, the different paints and effects and things you can do. You can make any of this any plastic kit look amazing right now. It's just it's pretty cool, what's out there. And but yeah, I'll definitely. You just send me that yet?
Yeah. Oh my God. Hang on.
Would you send it in
Messenger?
Facebook Messenger.
Look at some of these kits. We're not even getting anything for this. I'm just talking about these buildings.
Yeah, I was like searching around when I saw that, and I was like, I'm gonna go look that up. And here you go.
No friggin' way. Look at this building.
Yeah, the bar that was pretty cool. Bill's Railroad Tap.
Hang on.
That's that one you sent me. And this other one.
Tobacco Barn.
I have a Tobacco Barn.
You do?
I haven't built it yet. It's sitting up here on my shelf.
Check out this last one I just sent you.
I'll get cracking on that one. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Now, that is, wow, that's nice. But
2 Charles Street.
Yeah.
I just said it's an awesome kit.
It's a pretty cool. They also make that into a flat.
Yeah, there's a background
as well.
version.
Yeah. So,
Huh.
but yeah, I mean, there's some cool kits on there, and that's always pretty. It's fun to go back, and I haven't been in there in a while. It's fun to always go in there and just kind of look at at what these companies all have, and my Mount Models is another one.
His
And
lighthouse.
He's made some really badass looking buildings of lately, and Jason Jensen's pumping out some as well that are
We gotta get
really,
Jason
really
back on.
nice. Yeah, we do need to do that. And Ron.
And Ron. I'm just talking to these guys.
Yeah. That one is Easton Mill is the one that the guy made that out of. The Easton Mill made that kit that I saw.
Yeah.
It looks in the picture on his no offense, Steve, but this guy did a kick-ass job on your building. I mean, he took the dormer off the top of the Easton Mill, and is a big dormer at the very top.
Mm-hmm.
He eliminated that altogether, and he put two smokestacks up off high smokestacks off of it. It just looks cool. If I can find a picture or find a way to share it onto our page, I will do so if I can find it again. But which one do you have?
What are we talking about?
Well, that one is you have Freeman.
Yes,
This
I have
is
two of them.
Mill. Well, this one's Easton Mill. You don't have Easton Mill, do you?
No, I have two of them though. Sorry, my battery's gonna die on my laptop. I had to plug it in real quick. I forgot to plug it in. Oh man.
But anyways, we're just around wasting these people's time here today. But yeah, I mean, it's fun to go back into their websites after you haven't been in there in a while, and then go, oh, there's some cool stuff. It's new, it's because I haven't looked at it in a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to get in touch with some people, see what we can get on for some guests. We have number 200 coming up here. We're at 190. We need to come up with something special for 200, so maybe we'll do that. Get some kind of guest on for 200. And yeah, that's it. I'm starting to finally get the hang of my camera software and my camera.
Yes, I have I have a big video I have to finish editing for you.
Did you like the lighting on it? It turned out pretty good on this last one.
Yeah, it was a lot better. I did feel like it wasn't recorded on your 1998 handheld camcorder.
Yeah, so I'm finding out how to do this a little better. I got to get a little better with it, and but I'm having fun making them now. It's easier for me to set up. I can set it up quicker, and I pumped out 2 videos in 1 week, and that's unusual for me. So I pumped out a couple as well.
Yeah, well, and I gotta finish the editing on yours, but it's a long one, guys. So it'll be 15 or 16 minutes. But it's a tutorial video.
30. No, Jason's got some that last for a good 30 to 40 minutes.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's longer than the other short ones I've been putting up.
Okay. Hey, one more thing before we roll. I was sitting up here looking at this. I haven't even looked.
Nope, time's up. Nope, time's up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Do you have anything on your workbench, like that you bought tool-wise or paint or something like that, and you've never? It's cool, and you had this really cool idea. You're gonna get it and use it and do it, and you never did anything with it. It's just still sitting there, not a model, like a medium or a art supply, something like that, and you bought it and you just never got around to doing anything with it.
Not really, because I don't buy a lot.
And you really weren't sure what you were going to do with it when you ordered, but I got one. It's made by Ammo. It's called... I saw a video on it from Barbados Rex was doing a thing with his paint, with his airbrush, right? And he does a lot of vehicles and things like that, but he also... it's a metallic lacquer paint. It's not enamel. It's a lacquer. I haven't used it yet. But you put in your airbrush, and you have to use a lacquer thinner to thin it out and all that. But it's made by Ammo. And it is called A-Stained. A-Stand. A-Stand.
Okay.
A-S-STAND. Metallic lacquer. And I bought this stuff. This one here is chrome for Lexon, whatever Lexon is. And then this other one's called black chrome. And when he sprayed it, it came out like chrome off of the old style bumpers of a car.
Oh, really?
And right on a spoon. And I was like, oh my God, that's so badass. And he only ran it through like one coat. He went over it a couple times, wrote back and forth with it a little bit, But when it dried, it was like, didn't chip. He flicked it with his fingernail. It didn't chip. And then in my head, I'm going, I have to have that paint. So I have it. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do with it. I don't know. I don't have anything right now that needs to be chromed. But I have these 2 bottles, and now I'm just gonna have to try it. I think one of these nights, and just try it with a plastic spoon.
Yeah.
Just to say. But when he did it, it looked like a mirror. That's how perfect it was. I was like, holy shit. It was really cool.
I do. I have it. I have something.
What? Oh, okay. So I'm going to try that. Maybe I'll do a video on it too now.
Yeah.
So
mine is the stuff that we bought is the AK Interactive dry ground and concrete and asphalt.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Hang on. Let me get it real quick. Hang on. I'm pretty sure that it's probably not just dry ground. It's probably completely dry. It is. It's not even liquid anymore. So the terrain's dry ground.
Yes. The for the terrain stuff.
Yeah, yes. But we thought we were going to use it everywhere, and now we have a better way to do it. And then the concrete isn't.
Is it still usable?
No, it's actually probably real concrete now. Like it's hard. Oh, it's not too hard. It's like anyone with kids will appreciate this reference. Do you know what the magnetic sand is? The kinetic sand?
Yeah.
Now the terrain's concrete looks like kinetic sand.
Oh God.
I don't know if it's revivable. Hey though, if we need to make a pile of sand, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll make a beach with it instead.
Oh my God.
So yeah, those were 2 products that, don't get me wrong, if you're doing dioramas, which I think it's what it's really meant for, it's a great product because it does have a really cool effect. But for what I'm just gonna pitch them now because they're not even usable. But for what we're
they're not cheap either.
No, but I used them. I did a diorama with that pickup truck I built too, and I used it on that. But first of all, the concrete for our scale, you have to water it down and dilute it so much that you might as well just use paint.
Yeah.
It's just not the right scale for HO scale. For what you're doing, it would have been better because it creates a rough concrete look. But it's just tough. Now the cracking ground effects is cool. I have used that along the water, and I will use that again because that's from AK as well, because that creates that mud that's kind of drying but not dry yet. It's the kind of mud when you're walking along the creek bank and you think it's dry and you step in it and then you either slip and fall on your ass or you go knee deep in the mud because you thought it was dry. But it creates that cracked top where the top looks dry and it's kind of cracking, but underneath it's wet still and it's pulling apart. So I will use that again. It's just the scale we're trying to do it at. It's not practical for some of those products. Hey, the water gel effects from them. I just opened that up. It's still good.
Yeah.
From AK. So yeah, I think it's a lot. I mean, and it's not that those products aren't good. They're great products. It's just depending on what you're doing and what scale you're working in. They're just. sometimes you got to water them down so much that you might as well just have used acrylic paint.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like I said, I bought these two here, and I've had them for almost 8 months now, and I've never even opened them up, and I want to, because they weren't cheap. They were like $9 a bottle each. So, but I have them here. I'll find something to do with them. I just don't know what all needs to be chromed.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna do all kinds of modeling. So, I mean, I'll have aircraft to do, and they'll have some chrome stuff on, and I'll have some. I may eventually get around to doing some kind of like a regular automobile, you know. So in that case, I might be able to use that chrome as well for that.
Yeah.
That's, I'm sure, what he was doing or why he had it. But yeah. So I just never worked with a lacquer, you know. So I mean, a lot, you know, in a modeling sense, I've worked with lacquers in the household sense, but not in the modeling sense.
Right.
But yeah, it's something I'll play around with.
No, I get it. But anyways, well, I think that's it. You've talked me into, I think, picking up a kit or two as well. So I found some cool ones. But sometimes you gotta buy a kit too to just get yourself motivated to do something else. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, not that we don't have plenty to build, but whatever. We'll just push those back on the queue for a little while.
Piles of stuff to build.
But
yes.
Alrighty. Well, I think we're at a wrap. I'm hungry. I haven't even eaten dinner yet. So.
Me neither.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go eat some dinner.
Yeah, man. Have a good night.
All right, guys. Well, hey, keep an eye out for my dad's YouTube video that I'm editing right now. It will go up soon. And then if you haven't checked it out, I'll put it in the show notes, the video I did for the barnacles. I did not, unfortunately, do a video, of me applying the barnacles. But that's okay. Earlier, I was saying kit, and I don't know if you caught it, but I had a slip up, and I said clit instead. And I caught it quick, though. Anyways, the barnacles, or the varnicles, as I would like to say, I will probably do another video on how I made them, like with the glue and just sprinkle the sand on, because it is an easy thing to do, and it's once you see how it's done, it's super easy.
Right.
It's kind of like when kids are putting glitter on those Christmas ornaments they made in preschool, and they just put glue on a paper or on some popsicle sticks, and they sprinkle the glitter on it.
I've done barnacles.
You've done some varnicles?
Yes, I've done some barnacles.
Yeah, so it's similar to that.
Barnacles on a couple of those buildings that we have down there.
It's similar to how kids are putting glitter on glue sticks. So.
Jorneo fish.
What?
Jorneo fish.
Yeah.
That one has barnacles on the pilings.
But anyways, all right. I'll do another video like that. If you haven't checked out my weathering of the barnacles, check out that video. It's in the show notes, and I'll try to get my dad's video published before or right around the same time the podcast goes up, so you can also check that out in the show notes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think that's it. That is a wrap for the week.
You got it. Have a good one, everybody. Model on. Peace out.